We were leaving Vancouver to make it in time for our appointment at Blackline Marine in Sydney, where we had booked in for new standing rigging in preparation of our offshore adventures. More on that to come. Bye, Vancouver.
We did it. Leaving the big city. On to another big city.
We're just pulling into Shelby Cove off of, oh my god, what island are we at? I don't know. But just a little stopover before we head to Sidney Spit. No, we're just finding a spot here. It'll be about 20 feet of water, and I'm really excited to test out the new Mantis anchor swivel. Ever since buying the anchor last fall, I haven't really been happy with how it's pulling up on the roller with the two shackles. And at first I had a cheaper swivel, but the only thing holding it together was Loctite, which you don't really want to rely on. So I found a Mantis one used while we were in Vancouver, and it's super beefy, and I'm excited to see how it does. Spicy. We've just left Selby Cove and headed to Sidney Spit. The wind is forecasted to die down a little bit, but for now it's still about 15 to 20 knots, a bit gusty, and we're flying with our head sail only, doing about 7 knots. We just got the monitor running for the first time, and the wheel is balanced, and she's keeping us on a close reach? I don't know, a close reach. Yeah, heading where we want to go. We're not going to run it for too long because there's lots of islands in the Gulf Islands here that we want to avoid. Lots of islands to avoid. But it's exciting to have it working. It turns out, after Tyler read the instructions, that we actually didn't have the control line set up. The sail was on backwards and the knots were tied a bit too loose. But that's all part of learning. You're fired.
Thank God.
Well, maybe he took that too literally. We just got to Sidney Spit and grabbed a mooring ball here.
Ooh, the sun's out.
And I even said to Ty as we got in, because he's going to be leaving today to go get the van. And I said, well, let's go on a mooring ball because it will be safe while I'm by myself. And sure enough, we get around the corner and we see a sailboat on the beach, and they still are attached to a mooring ball. So now we're just discussing whether or not we should anchor or stay on the mooring ball. And Ty, tell us your facts.
Well, I have a theory. These mooring balls probably only pull once every few years, maybe. And so I'm saying that by that boat being on shore and the mooring ball having pulled, it means that we're even better off because this won't happen again for years.
Should I dive on ours? Check it.
Oh, you could dive on it. Oh, man.
We went over and chatted to the couple to see if they needed a hand before heading off to drop off Tyler.
And at no fault of ours.
Should we go anchor?
No, statistics don't lie.
Math. Just got back from dropping Ty off and just came to see if these guys needed help at all because I saw them pulling on the halyard. It looks like the tide's coming up and they're slowly getting back in the water here. I just feel so bad for the boat on the beach right now. That could have been us. It could be us. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just every sailor's worst nightmare to wake up in your boat just being drifted ashore. We went and talked to them, and they said that the mooring ball is about 20 feet of chain or 10 feet of chain even. Then the rest is rope, and that the rope itself snapped at about 4 a.m. they realized, and by the time they got up and turned the engine on and they started motoring, that the mooring line actually wrapped around the prop and they couldn't do anything. So luckily the wind was only about 15 to 20 knots and the beach is all sand. So they seem to be okay, and they're just in the process of the tide coming up, and they should be able to just kind of be gently pulled out of the sand that their keel's in right now. That all being said, we are on one of these mooring balls. Apparently Parks Canada looks at them once a year, inspects them. I don't know if that's the beginning or the end of the season, but I don't really trust it, and we could have gone and tied up at the dock, but we kind of ran out of time before Tyler left, and you all heard his theory. But I've got my dive gear here. I do want to go take a look at the mooring ball that we're attached to and see what it looks like down there. Our neighbor is off and away. They're being towed over to a marina and they'll be hauled out on Monday. Really glad to see they got off the beach okay. And I have just got up from under the water. And I have to say I'm not very impressed with Parks Canada's mooring ball system. You'll see in the video here, but basically it's 10 feet of chain, not even, and then some maybe 1 inch rope, and then it goes rope right down to an eye which attaches onto a big cement block. The block itself looks great, the eye not so much, because of the rope goes around the eye which attaches to the block. It's been chafing. This is all to say, Parks Canada, I don't feel safe on this mooring ball. I'd really like to see that be changed in the future, Parks Canada. Hopefully we don't end up on the beach. Hey, it's me from the future. I just wanted to take a second to say that I ended up speaking to someone from Parks Canada a couple days later, and they were very attentive to the issue. I had sent them a picture of the mooring ball, the one I dove on, and sounds like they have gotten a new dive team to fix all of these moorings. So I'm glad to hear that, because I definitely would hesitate before I attach to a mooring ball there. Also, I wanted to say, of course, we trust our ground tackle more than random mooring balls, but Sidney Spit is an eel grass conservation area, so they ask people not to anchor if they can't help it. Okay, back to the video. The wind's pretty calm right now, and we've got 2 more nights here, 1 more night without Tyler, and the wind's supposed to pick up again tonight. Nothing crazy. I want a good sleep tonight, so I'm gonna bring the boat over to the dock, and this is my first time solo docking with no one to catch lines, so we'll see how this goes. I've got every fender out possible. I didn't really film my docking very well because the AIS alarm started going off, and I just wanted to concentrate on docking. It went pretty good. I had lots of space on the dock to try and I was practicing some maneuvering by myself, which was good while I had lots of space. I still managed to bump the dock a little bit, but not too hard at all. And I'm really proud of myself because that was my first time solo docking. Tyler gets home tomorrow. He managed to fit in a few skydives, and I think he's on a sunset load right now, so I'm really excited to see his footage from that. And he'll be bringing the van tomorrow. Good night. It is time to prep for the reason we're down here, which is we're getting all of our standing rigging replaced at Blackline Marine in Sidney. Shush. The reason we are replacing our standing rigging is we're planning on going offshore this year, and as to our knowledge, the rigging is at least 20 years old. They say that you should replace the rigging every 10 to 20 years, or 10 to 15 years really. And because we're at the end of that, even though it looks really good, there are a few little things that show me that they are old now, because you can never really tell. A lot of corrosion happens actually where you can't see it, and the last place we want to find out is when we're sailing offshore. So today I'm going to do as much prep as I can and try to make it easy for the team. Well, not that they care, but I care, because the less work they do, the less money we have to pay. So I'm gonna take the sails down, gonna take the boom off, take the cotter pins out, and basically just have it as prepped as possible. Let's do it. The next morning, I picked up Tyler. It was our last day of freedom before the boatyard. A special shout out to our patrons who support us on the start of this wild journey. We're just getting started. Next time on All About Spray. We meet up with breaking waves at the boatyard, pull our mast, and attack our chain plates,
only to find some major issues. See you next week.